The greatest nickname in the NFL draft this year is Dominique Orange, aka Big Citrus.
He never missed a game. I think he only missed one practice, and it was because he broke his wrist.
I've seen some of my Pitt guys go to the Jets in the past, and it has hurt me very much.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to Football X's and O's Back to School. We'll be talking about the sleepers for this 2026 NFL draft class. I'm Ryan Seal, alongside me is NFL expert David Scott. David, we talk about the same players all the time, but we have to mention the sleepers.
Yeah, we've been going through the first round for the last few weeks. Now let's talk about our guys that we really like and some players that people might not know much about.
All right, we're going to give three sleeper prospects. I have three and David has three, so let's get this thing started. Who's your sleeper for this draft?
Well, I'll start with my favorite guy being a homer out of the University of Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with Kyle Lewis, the linebacker slash safety, more of a hybrid guy. We're not really sure which way he's going to play out in the NFL. Played linebacker through his entire career at the University of Pittsburgh, but a lot of scouts, a lot of experts are projecting him to move to that safety position because he's a bit more undersized. Very, very good ball skills, so an incredible athlete, just a super high motor. I loved watching him for the last 3 years.
Oh, you're not the only one. I've been seeing a lot of analysts, hype him up. I think he's going to be a second-round pick, but you never know. He could slip into the end of the first round. And the combine, he looks pretty good, too. His instincts, his speed. I really saw the high motor that you just said.
Yeah, one thing I've always liked about him is that he's really good at tracking down the ball, whether it's on the ground or it's in the air. And I think that's why a lot of people are projecting him to maybe move to that safety position, just because for a linebacker, he's picked off a lot of balls in his career, got a lot of pass deflections. So, I could see him moving to that safety position, and I think he would excel there. But at the same time, if you're not too concerned about his size, I would keep him at linebacker because, while last year might have been not his greatest year in terms of getting past the line of scrimmage and to the ball, in 2024, he had 15 tackles for loss, racking up sacks. So, I think he could stick at the linebacker spot, but, wherever you want to put him, he's going to excel in an NFL defense.
Now, what team do you see and you're like, they can draft Kyle Lewis in the second round? Is there teams that could, take the chance on Kyle Lewis and say, maybe he's a safety or maybe he's a linebacker?
Well, I think you'd have to look at, who wants which position.
Yeah.
I think if you're desperate for a true safety, maybe go a different way because you're not sure how he's going to project as a safety. But if you're really looking for a linebacker, then yeah, go for it. A second round pick, maybe back half of the second round, I would be all for it. I don't know exactly where he would project out.
Yeah.
I'd love my Dolphins to take him. The Dolphins could use just about anyone on that defense, and linebacker is one of those spots. But I think, a team like the Eagles are a team where you could put him and say, hey, we could throw him either direction, and he might work out in both positions. So I think that would be really good for him too. But I think once you get into the second round, it's kind of all bets are off.
I think it would hurt you a lot if he went to the New York Jets.
I've seen some of my Pitt guys go to the Jets in the past, and it has hurt me very much.
Yeah. All right, with my sleeper, this is a guy that's going to be drafted in the first round, but it's not going to be the top half of it. I'm going to go with Blake Miller out of Clemson, right tackle. I mean, the guy was always on the field. He never missed a game. I think he only missed one practice, and it was because he broke his wrist. So he was just a mainstay at right tackle, and he's in the SEC, so he's facing a lot of really good edge rushers. So I really love his play, his IQ of the game. And teams are probably going to be drafting him probably in the 20s in this first round. But you're looking at guys in this class, Proctor, Freeling, that are probably going to be drafted earlier. And Blake Miller, he's going to be, waiting to be picked in the 20s. And a team maybe like the Houston Texans, teams like that could use a guy that is just going to be very solid at right tackle. I think he's really good against the run. I think he's the most athletic offensive lineman in this class too. So I wouldn't sleep on this guy, and for some reason, a lot of people are.
Yeah, Blake Miller, I'm with you. I don't think he should be going as low as he is because he's one of these guys that I'm really confident in being able to stick on the right side. I think he's going to be a really good position. I really like his size, your athleticism, like he said. I think he's just going to be a really solid guy in the NFL. Yeah, the Texans, I think, would be a good fit for him. Maybe the Patriots further down the board if he slides a bit more. Maybe the Steelers, they're looking like they're going to need some offensive tackle help. But, anywhere he goes, I'm confident in him sticking at the tackle position. I think a couple other prospects at offensive line in this draft, I'm not too confident in.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of players might be boom or bust, but I think you rather take a guy sometimes high floor. Like, you're confident in his floor, and I think that's what it can be like for Blake Miller. And not just the against the run, but against the pass. There might be some consistency that he has to work on That's obviously a major part in the NFL. You got to be consistent, but I just feel like his second year, you're going to be noticing he's going to be a really good starter. I think this might take a little bit, in his rookie year, but I would be very patient with him. The guy is only 22 years old, played 4 years in college, so I would really be patient with him if you're drafting him. But his highs are very high, so I really like Blake Miller as a prospect. And like we said, I think the Houston Texans, the Steelers, all those teams. Maybe a backup for the Chargers. I know they have Slater and Alt. Yeah, Alt.
Yes,
so
Alt.
If they need a backup, he could be a good guy to be as a backup because they're dealing with injuries too in the past. So I feel like you can't go wrong with Blake Miller.
Yeah, you could never have enough offensive line depth. He would be a great depth piece, but I also think, he would be a great starter. So we'll see where he ends up in the first round. I'm going to keep going further out of the first round as well. I'm going to talk about a defensive tackle prospect here, a guy with, I think, the greatest nickname in the NFL draft this year. It's Domonique Orange, a.k.a. Big Citrus. Incredible name out of Iowa State. He is just a really true nose tackle prospect. He's probably going to go anywhere from the second to third round. He's definitely going to be a day two kind of pick. I don't see him finding his way into the first round, but he is a true nose tackle prospect. He is going to absolutely stuff up the lanes in the run game with his just gigantic size. This guy's like 350 pounds, and he's going to absolutely disrupt things. Now, he really is a run-first kind of guy. He's not going to make an impact in the passing game. He's got a quick first step. He's got a lot of overwhelming size. But when it comes to the pass game, he's just not getting in there and getting to the quarterback. That's okay. When you want a true nose tackle kind of guy, that's someone who's going to fall further out of the first round. But when you look at Big Citrus, Mr. Dominique Orange, I'm okay with that. I think if you want him as a designated run kind of guy, you would be thrilled to get him back half of the second, first half of the third.
I think in this draft, there's not that many nose tackles in this class. So I think if you're a team that is desperate for a guy like him, I would go and grab him because there's other guys. There's so many edge players. There's so many guys that are linebackers, safeties. And nose tackles, it's a position that sometimes gets underrated, and I think he could be a player for a team that needs him.
Yeah, in this draft, I'm honestly not even sure if there's going to be a defensive tackle in the first round.
Yeah.
I think
McDonald maybe, we'll see.
I think there probably will be. Caden McDonald.
Caden McDonald, yeah.
He might get in there. Caleb Banks might get in there. But again, there's a couple more positions that I think are just more valuable in this cycle. So they're probably, at least one of them is probably going to fall into the second round. And then you get into Dominique Orange and you start seeing all these guys. So if the defensive tackle position starts to fall into the second round, those guys are going to start getting scooped up. And then Big Citrus maybe ends up being a front half of the second round rather than a back half and then into the third round. But I think third round is definitely the floor for him. He's not falling anywhere into the fourth round, anything like that, because he has just true run-stopping ability. The pass game, that's where you're going to really see his weaknesses, and that's probably why he's not a higher level of a prospect. But still, that run-stuffing ability really thrills me.
And did he post in the Combine? Did he do any drills at the NFL Combine?
He didn't do any Combine work. He just measured out with pretty good arm length, pretty good size, but no running or anything like that.
Yeah, sounds like a very intriguing prospect. I think teams would be glad to take him, third round or whatever. All right, my guy, my second sleeper is going to be Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. Not the Chris Johnson, the Tennessee Titans legend that went crazy, 10, 15 years ago. Chris Johnson out of San Diego State, cornerback. I think he's getting really overlooked. I mean, yes, he's from a small school. He's not in the SEC. The Mountain State. So this is a player that people are sleeping on right now. And he ran a 4.40, 40-yard dash. He was really good last year. I think he was elite last year when you look at other players too. And just the way he travels with wide receivers, he can travel really good. And I really appreciate that aspect. And he can go inside and outside. I feel like a lot of corners, it's very hit or miss. You could say, okay, slot, and you keep him there. This is a guy I think he's going to be in the outside. So I would be keen on him taking him maybe at the end of the first round. I think he's going to be a second-round pick, early second round. The Jets need a cornerback, number 33. That feels almost like a first-round pick, 33. Chris Johnson, I would be looking out for him. I think that's a guy that people aren't really talking about as much. And his speed plays a huge factor, and his versatility plays a huge factor as well in terms of me liking him as a prospect.
Yeah, we recently did our cornerback episode. We talked about Mansour Delaney, we talked about Jamal McCoy, we talked about Avion Terrell, but from what I'm hearing from you, maybe you're thinking of this guy as a top 3 corner in this class.
I agree. Look, I have, Delane and I have McCoy as my top 2, and I've been debating Hood and Johnson, and I'm leaning sometimes one day Hood and sometimes Johnson, but honestly, I think it's just a 3A, 3B for me, honestly. And I probably give the edge to Hood, just the competition level. And he was so good, too, Hood. He had to, manage the quarterback 1 responsibilities with McCoy being out the whole year. But Chris Johnson, I would not sleep on him. His versatility stands out to me the most. I really don't see too many cons. That's the thing with a lot of prospects. I look at players, and I obviously look at the pros, but if there's a laundry list of cons, I might be out on this guy. And for this one, I don't really see it. And the combine, he was really good. I would look more in terms of the 2025 play and, his testing. And I think those two really stood out for me. I see him, in the 30s. It could be early 30s, could be end of 30s.
Oh, it sounds like a really clean prospect.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for sometimes. It doesn't have to be knock your socks off. Sometimes just a clean guy that is going to fit the bill for you. I'm interested to see where he goes. All right, so my last guy here, we're going to go for the tight end position, Sam Roush out of Stanford. First round, we're probably just going to see the one tight end, Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. He's your slam dunk prospect at the tight end position this year. But Sam Roush is my number 2 guy off the board at tight end. And I don't think a lot of people are putting him there just because he's not a prototypical pass-catching tight end. In today's NFL, everyone wants a pass-catching tight end to just go and basically be a 4th or 5th wide receiver out there. That's not what I like about Sam Roush. I like that he can basically be your 6th offensive lineman. You put your formation out there, you throw Sam Roush on the line as well, and he's going to maul some people. This guy's 6'6", 6'7", 250 pounds. He ran a 4.7 40-yard dash and jumped 38 inches. I mean, he's just a freak kind of dude, and he is just really, really good on that line. Yeah, he's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver probably ever, but I think he's going to have a place in a team's offense that really likes to use those blocking kind of tight ends. I think of him like a Tucker Kraft kind of player. Now, Tucker Kraft did really explode last year before that injury, but I think if he can clean up those pass-catching abilities, I could see him really running those block and release type of plays, or just staying on that offensive line and really mauling people. I just love what this guy can do.
This seems like a high floor guy. I mean, that's an underrated aspect, like blocking. I feel like a lot of teams are using 2 tight end sets, so you use him and you could go the extra mile in terms of your offense. And I feel like the Los Angeles Rams, they love the 2 tight end sets. They have guys blocking, then another guy, running a route. So teams would like that in an offense, having 2 tight ends, and Roush seems like a guy.
I would love to see him on the Rams. You're right, they do love throwing as many tight ends on the field as possible. I think a team like the 49ers would be fun. Obviously, they have George Kittle, but Kittle used to be that hybrid blocking, pass-catching tight end. While he's still great at blocking, he has transitioned to be more of a pass-catching tight end. Maybe you throw in Roush with him to throw down some blocks while Kittle's out there. I think you're right. Very high floor kind of guy. Regardless of what you do, you're going to be able to put him out there, let him run some reps on the line with your offensive lineman. And then if he ends up developing some good hands and some crisper route running ability, man, that would be an absolute slam dunk in late round 2, early round 3.
And of course, he's from Stanford too, so he has obviously high IQ too, so you can't go wrong with the guy from Stanford as well.
Yeah, smart guy. This is one of my favorite, maybe my favorite prospects in this year's draft.
All right, my last sleeper is going to be Stribling out of Ole Miss, wide receiver, 6'2", around 210. I think he's going to be in the 3rd round, but you never know. He could sneak into the 2nd round. And we have so many wide receivers, obviously, in this class, so people are just talking about, the Cardinal Tates of the world, the Tysons of the world. But no one's talking about Stribling. That's going to be a 3rd-round pick, 2nd-round pick. And Stribling just screams a guy that can just surprise people in his first year. I think he could be a starter and maybe more. I think he could be like a Christian Watson to stretch the field type of player. And Christian Watson was not a 1st-round guy. He wasn't a 2nd-round guy. So you never know with players like this. He's had 800-plus yards the last 2 years. There were some games where he was just, you couldn't even find him. There were a couple games where he was struggling, but then when he's on, he's really on. He'll get six receptions for 100-plus yards. So just his speed is on full display. I think in the 40-yard dash, he ran a 4.36 in the 40 yards. So he was really good testing-wise. So he's been visiting so many teams, too. I think there were a couple times where he had to decline visits because we're already approaching the NFL draft and you can't transport to some of these places. So can he just work on being more consistent in the league? A lot of the wide receivers is the reason why they're going to be 1st-round picks is because they were more consistent. If he was more consistent, we would be talking about him in the 1st round and in the 1st round. But if he cleans that up, I think he can be, a 1st-round type talent.
So you talk about him stretching the field. You're seeing him more as like a deep threat kind of guy on the outside. Just let him run and get the ball underneath him.
I think it's a little bit of both. I've seen him like high points. I've seen him, 20, 30 yards, leap for a catch, just acrobatic catches. And then against Georgia, I think it was just a quick route, and he went all the way, 70 yards. So there's things that he's very versatile in. Ole Miss, you saw him with Chambliss, in the playoffs. I think he really looked really good. And it's just a matter of, because of the wide receiver position is so deep, he's going the second round or third round. I think he could sneak into the second round, and I see a team like the Patriots maybe grabbing him. I could see him fall to a team like the Patriots who need a wide receiver.
Yeah, maybe pair him up with another Ole Miss guy, the New York Giants with Jackson Dart. They're looking for a wide receiver, but they got a couple first-round picks. Maybe they'll grab one there, but it could be fun to see him there with Dart.
Yeah, I see Giants. I feel like they're going to take a wide receiver, either 5 or 10. I'm leaning probably towards with the 10th pick. I think they're going to probably take Sonny Styles, and if one of Tyson, Tate, they're there at 10, you grab him. But for Stribling, I expect him to be, an underrated player, and I would watch out for him this class. All right, that's going to wrap things up here. Football X's and O's back to school. You can watch us every Monday. We also have other off-season content. Please like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments who you think is your sleeper of this class.